Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Memory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2013 NFL Draft Prospects Rankings preview video. We're taking a look at the running back position. We're going to look at the top players. We're also going to look at some fullbacks, some sleepers, and some small school prospects that you want to keep an eye on. Monty Ball is my top-rated running back in this class. Compared him to Curtis Martin, a guy that doesn't do anything great but does everything very well, not flashy, has excellent vision, no wasted movement when he runs, and is very underrated in his pass-catching ability. This is a guy that knows how to absorb hits, knows when to go down, which is why I want you to not worry about the amount of carries he logged at Wisconsin. This guy would definitely be a solid pro, and I gave him a late first-round grade. Next up is Andre Ellington, 5'10", 195 out of Clemson, a very underrated inside runner, so don't let the size fool you, and he has the breakaway speed, which makes him a threat to score from anywhere on the field. Some of his negatives are the fact that he is always nursing some type of nagging injury, which could be in part to him being a little stiff. But when you look at a solid playmaker all around, you see a guy that can help y'all in the return game, help y'all as a receiver, and is a breakaway threat out of the backfield. Reminds me a lot of Jamal Charles, which is why I gave him a late first-round grade. There's a lot to like about Jonathan Franklin. I think this guy has LaShawn McCoy written all over him. Very elusive runner in the open field, great burst, and is a tremendous leader on a football team. He's more quick than fast, so he may not outrun a lot of guys. Again, similar to LaShawn McCoy. Give this guy carries, put him in your offense. I think he will pay big dividends for any team that drafts him, which is why I gave him a second-round grade. I think he has solid all-around game. A lot to like about Jonathan Franklin from UCLA. Taylor is one of my favorite backs in this draft. This guy's a very solid all-around tailback, a chain mover we like to call it. Does a great job in pass protection. Now his weaknesses are his foot quickness, which causes him to stumble through holes at times. But when you look at a comparison, I think he reminds me a lot of Pierre Thomas, a yeah but type of runner, a guy that when you look at him like yeah but he does everything well. May not be flashy, but definitely will be highly productive, and is probably the most pro-ready running back in this draft. Rounding out my top 5 is Eddie Lacy. You look at this guy and you want to say he's just a bruiser, but this is a guy that has underrated shiftiness and also has excellent burst. Reminds me a lot of Michael Turner for the Chargers and the Falcons. He's limited in the passing game and is not a creator behind the line of scrimmage, which means the holes have to be there for him in order to burst through. He's not a guy that can create if something is clogged up, but definitely will be a solid pro, a productive pro at the next level. I give Ray Graham a third-round grade in this year's draft. Reminds me a lot of Jaquiz Rogers that plays for the Falcons. Does a great job of stringing moves together. If you're one-on-one with this guy, forget about it. He's going to make you miss. Definitely a threat out of the backfield. Has some injury history and also has some questions in his pass protection, so he may be limited in what he can do at the next level, but there's no doubt in my mind with his skill set, he'll have a long, productive career as a returner, as a receiver out of the backfield, and also as a runner. There's a lot to like about Mike Gillislee out of Florida. He has the long speed that you want. He has good vision, and he's not afraid to run through a tackler. The questions lie with his nagging injuries and the fact that he tends to wear down during ball games. So right now I have to project him as a guy that's going to have to be a part of a committee, but I give him a third-round grade because he does have down-the-line starting potential because of his breakaway speed. Robbie Rouse out of Fresno State does a great job of making people miss, and I think that's going to help him out at the next level. Reminds me a lot of Leon Washington as a returner, and that's something else that he does very well. He puts the ball on the ground a little bit too much for my liking, so that's why I dropped him down and give him a third-round grade. But pound for pound, this is a tough guy. Definitely is a liability in pass protection, but like I said before, the most natural running skills of any back in this year's draft. If you want to take a vote on who's going to be the next Alfred Morris out this draft class, you have to look at Zach Stacy out of Vanderbilt, a guy that has solid vision, great balance, and is a very good pass protector. And that's something you don't see from guys coming out of college. Doesn't have the breakaway speed, although right here we're going to show him breaking the long run. Doesn't have the breakaway speed, but definitely is a guy that's going to be a solid pro and may end up being one of those surprise starters in week 1. Le'Veon Bell put together an impressive junior campaign for Michigan State. Reminds me a lot of Michael Bush. 6'2", 235 pounds, maybe closer to 240. Doesn't have the breakaway speed, and change of direction skills are not there, which means he can't get stopped behind the line of scrimmage. And he's also a guy that takes a lot of head-on contact. So when you look at Bell's carries in comparison to Monty Ball's carries, you have to worry about Bell over the course of 16 games because of the fact that he takes on every hit. He's going to have to learn how to make people miss and go out of bounds if he wants to survive a 16-game NFL season. A lot of people are high on Gio Bernard out of North Carolina. I see a solid player. I don't see a first-round or second-round type of talent. I see a guy that's going to be a nice special teamer, a solid complimentary back. He should have stayed another year at North Carolina, honed his skills, but right now I don't see nothing more than just a spot player. And Jawan Jamison out of Rutgers, another guy that should have stayed another year. I see the same things in him that I see in Gio Bernard, a solid complimentary guy. Reminds me a lot of Kenneth Davis that played for the Buffalo Bills. But if you're looking to draft Jamison, don't expect anything more than a special teamer or a guy that's going to come in on third downs. I'm a big fan of Theo Riddick. I like what he brings to the table. Has tremendous skill set. Former wide receiver. So that right there brings you that versatility. You put him in the hands of a creative play caller, offensive coordinator. That's going to be good for that offense. I gave him a 4th-round grade. I still think he's learning how to play running back, but we know he can easily line up in a slot and be a tremendous wide receiver. Kenyon Barner had an outstanding career for the University of Oregon, was a breakaway threat in that widespread offense. But what I look at him being at the next level, I just see another complimentary player, a guy that's going to help you out in the return game, also can catch some passes out of the backfield, but I don't see the vision that's necessary to be a top back at the next level. That's why I gave him a 5th-round grade. You want to talk about a guy that has Darren Sproles-like ability, Isi Sofeli out of Cal, 5'8", 195. Keep an eye on him. I think he's an intriguing prospect. Almost made my sleepers list, but this is a guy that can definitely make you look foolish in the open field. Again, will come in, will help you out as a returner, but also may log some carries throughout the course of the game. Spencer Ware is a guy that's 5'11", 225 pounds. Reminds me a lot of Trent Richardson. If you like Trent Richardson, the way he runs into people and has that solid burst, you'll like Spencer Ware. The problem is Spencer Ware spends most of his time running into people. He has to learn how to make people miss if he wants to last at the next level. Marcus Lattimore is definitely a sleeper in this draft. I think the 4th round will be his floor. All things considered, if he was 100% healthy, I would have given him a 2nd-round grade. One cut downhill runner, a guy that's a very underrated receiver out of the backfield, but someone's going to get a solid player that's determined to be successful. And now Davis is a guy that I would have given a 2nd-round grade to as well had he checked out medically. That ankle injury has been nagging for the last 2 years. All things considered, he has the hands, he has the speed, he has the vision, he has the power. So look for him probably to go in that 3rd-round range if he checks out medically. But now Davis is a heck of a football player. Another sleeper you want to keep an eye on, Curtis McNeil out of USC, 5'7", 195. Breakaway speed, breakaway threat. Reminds me a lot of Kendall Hunter in his suddenness. Split time this year where Silas Red actually proved to be the better back, in my opinion. Was also the better back last year, so keep an eye on Curtis McNeil. I gave him a 4th-round grade. Keep an eye on Mike James. I think he's a sleeper in his draft. He may end up being a better pro than he was in college. Split time throughout his collegiate career. So this is a guy that hasn't had the full slate of carries throughout the course of a game. That's the biggest question, which is why I gave him a 5th-round grade. Miguel Masonet was highly productive at Stony Brook, put that program on his back, and was the key cog in that offense. They ran the football 70% of the time. This guy didn't wear down in the course of a ball game. Also has some big games versus some big-time opponents, like you see there versus Syracuse. I think Deontay Williams out of Cal Poly will have an outstanding career as a returner at the next level. Explosive player, played in an option offense for the Mustangs, but definitely has the speed to take it the distance. Maybe this year's Darrell Richardson. Travis Ward out of Tennessee State declared early, which is an interesting decision coming from a guy that played at the FCS level. Solid skill set. Reminds me a lot of Robert Turbin, one cut downhill. He can catch the football out of the backfield as well, but I think he has to improve on his conditioning. I don't know why he would leave early. Probably should have stayed another year at Tennessee State. One of my favorite prospects in this draft is Zach Line out of SMU, a guy that also can be a tailback in an I-back type of situation, in a single-back situation. So you can be versatile with Zach Line. He can open up holes for a running back as a fullback, but also can carry the ball as well. And you look at Lonnie Pryor. This guy reminds me a lot of Larry Centers. Had an outstanding bowl game versus Northern Illinois, but he's been productive all season long, which is why I think he and Zach Line could be fullbacks that go very early in the draft. I gave both guys a 4th-round grade. And you look at Tommy Bohannon. What I like about him is his size. He's a true classic fullback, can open up holes for you, also has soft hands coming out of the backfield. May also see some time as an H-back, so he has that versatility. It's a lot to like about Tommy Bohannon. Eric Breitenstein out of Wofford put up some huge and impressive numbers for the Terriers. Played in that triple option offense, definitely has the ability to run the football, as you see right there, but he also has soft hands coming out of the backfield, but I have to see him block a little bit more in order to be effective at the next level. Football Game Plan has you covered throughout the entire draft season, so tune in every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time for Football Game Plan's draft prospect analysis show hosted by our senior draft analyst, Chris James. You can follow him on Twitter at CJFlorida9, so don't be afraid to tune in. Remember, that's every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time at blogtalkradio.com/footballgameplan.